Janet Two Hawks. I have stage 4 ovarian cancer, and my battle started like everyone else's. You get this bad news. So in my case, my husband drugged me kicking and screaming to the emergency room at St. Charles one bright May afternoon on a Friday. And in a few hours, we got this diagnosis that I had stage 4 ovarian cancer that was metastasized to my liver. And it sounded pretty grim, and it just sucks the wind out of you like it does anyone. And we were stoic in the hospital, but when we got to the car, we burst into tears and held each other. And like the drive home, we don't live very far, but it was like driving to France. It took a long time. And when we got home, we called people and let them know the bad news. Like I called my children and he called some people, and we were just gobsmacked and heartbroken and scared. We were very scared. So that night we went to bed, and we woke up the next morning and realized it was not a bad dream. It really was reality. We spent a lot of time wondering, how long I had left, because that's kind of how we took the message I got from the doctor in the ER. Bless his heart. But it's bad, that poor guy had to tell this nice couple what was the future was going to hold. And so we got a little bit of fight in us eventually, and we reached out to a friend of ours that is an oncology nurse, and she put us in touch with Dr. Emily Berry, who's one of the finest gynecological oncologists on the planet. And she's here in Bend, and we're so thankful. And so I called her on Monday. We had an appointment on Tuesday. My daughter-in-law went with us for moral support and to take some notes. In about 10 minutes of her talking about my test results, David looked at her and said, "So Janet's not going to die?" And she goes, "Oh no, this is garden variety ovarian cancer. It's always late stage when I find people because the symptoms are so vague." And so we appreciated that. And then, she starts doing the staging things. And within days, I had a port installed and my first chemo. And then, like a lot of people's cancer goes, complications, things you didn't expect happen. And it was just a sea of activity. I, being a workaholic, I kept working because what else would I do? And so I worked every single day because it brought me great joy, and it was my sense of purpose was working with my team. So that's kind of how things went. Forgive me for looking at my notes, but I do tend to ramble. I decided right away when I got cancer, I'm not a particularly, I don't like messing around with a lot of people about myself. And I decided that I was going to be kind and generous to the caretakers and medical professionals because they don't deserve to deal with a bitter, angry woman. And so I really made it my mission to be kind to them and to allow them to do their job, and for me to not micromanage them and to just let things unfold as they did. I spent no time trying to figure out how I got this. I have it. It's not useful to go backwards and try to figure that out. And so I just really looked at this positively. David, my husband, boy, I tell you, God sent me a warrior forged out of iron with this one. And I don't a Facebook support group for me called Janet's Army. And so we had several people praying for us right away, and like hundreds of people. And we just feel so blessed by that. And I could not have gotten through this without those people. And so I've been some people go through cancer and they're very private and they don't say much. And I'm more outward. I've talked about this, even though I don't normally go on and on about my health. I talk about it, and we've been so blessed with prayer. So not too long after all this started, I was laying in bed one night. I was very scared and I was very sick and I was miserable. And so I prayed to God one night that he'd just take me now, just put me out of my misery and take me now. And he said to me, it's like one of the only real conversations I've had with God that I'm aware of. And he said, I am not taking you, I'm leaving you here to help others. And that still sticks with me to this day. And at that time, I was still a workaholic. So I thought that he was sparing me to help my work team and my doctor and my patients. I didn't realize what the message was. It's taken me a while to figure that out. So I worked full time. All I really knew how to do was to throw myself into work and take care of people. And then it wasn't too long after that. I kind of got into remission. I was doing better. My surgery was successful. I got my colostomy reversed, which made me very happy because that was the worst part of the first phase of treatment. And then, bam, I got a brain tumor. And back to the emergency room we went. I had a seizure at home. And that same doctor had to tell us that I had a brain tumor. It's not funny, but I'm laughing because this poor sweet man. And David told me that when he came in with the results, that I made him sit down and hold my hand and face me instead of towering over me. And I don't remember doing it because I had a brain tumor. I've used that excuse quite a bit. But he was so sweet. And so I was immediately sent upstairs. I had surgery. I had a sea of people around me. It was all very exciting because I was having brain surgery, and that's pretty scary. And while I was in there, this really nice, I don't know if he's a rabbi, but he's a minister he volunteers his time at St. Charles, and he brought me a prayer shawl and came in and saw me every day. And I felt like I was having an out of body experience. I felt Jesus walking with me while I was wheeled down the hall to all these endless x-ray appointments I had. And he was standing in the OR before I went to sleep and was with me that whole time I was there. It was really incredible. And I came home from that a changed person, and that I've sort of realized what my purpose in life is, and it wasn't to be a good worker. It was to be a kind person and to help others and to be thankful for every day that I have. And like what's important when I looked at that and was contemplating my death wasn't that Janet Two Hawks was an excellent dental manager. It was really important that I'm a good grandma and I'm a good mom and that I'm a good wife and that I'm a good person. So while I was home recuperating, I started an Etsy store because I quilt full time now because I can't go back to work. Dr. Yunt, my neurosurgeon, told me to hang up my spurs, that I'm done. So I listened to my doctors, which isn't typical of me. And so I make quilts and I sell a fair amount of stuff on Etsy, but I started a ministry where I actually send quilts for people that need a little comfort. It started with a young lady, a girl that was a crime victim, and then a little boy who's lost his mother much too young. And then it transcended into I make quilts and send them to cancer patients. And so it makes me feel really good. Nobody knows they're getting them and they just show up in the mail. And it's how I serve people. It's kind of what my purpose is these days, is to give back and be thankful. And a lot of people have reached out to me because I've been so open. And I mentored a young woman that had the same presentation of ovarian cancer that I did. And I sent her a quilt. Her cancer progressed and got much worse. And unfortunately, she's gone. And that was hard for me to have that happen. But I've since lost several people. And I think you don't go through something like this without being changed in one way or another. And I really had to pull up my big girl pants and not be a wretch. There's days I don't feel well. There's days I've had, like, this whole year, I've been pretty miserable. My chemotherapy was not pleasant this year. I had a lot of reactions, and I have really strived to be a good person. And just, there are days I don't leave my sewing room because I pray while I'm sewing, and I'm doing beautiful things instead of focusing on how bad my inflammation is, because I have a lot of that. I also have come to realize that our emotional and mental and spiritual self is so critical to our healing and our longevity and our survival. And I don't know any cancer patients that don't have PTSD. We all have it. And in one form or another, whether we know it or not, we have it. I, for the longest time, couldn't drive past the emergency room at St. Charles because I got bad news there. The cancer side is fine, but that other side, I would just break out in a rash every time I had to go over there. And so we also deal with, you're kind of grieving, and like, you go through all the stages, or at least I did: denial, anger, fear. And then at some point, I just kind of gave into it this year and quit trying to control it. And it's in God's hands now instead of me driving the bus. And I'm much more at peace with it. I also reached out to, well, to Reverend Kathy, and accepting that. And I have a therapist that I see every 2 weeks at Summit, and she's wonderful. And she's helped me realize that the old Janet may not come back. Where I'm at right now is where I'm at. And I'm never going to tromp around in high heels at work anymore. I'm probably not going to climb mountains hiking anymore. I can't do that. I can walk across the parking lot though. And there's days I'm just thankful I can still get up and down my stairs. There's days I don't get out of bed, and I'm okay with that. And so she's really helped me be thankful for where I'm at, and to accept that cancer happened, and to reach out to people and let them help me and be gracious, and to be kind back, and to just accept where I'm at right now. And that is that I'm walking with God, and I don't know what he has in store for me. I really don't. I hope, here's where I get tearful. I hope I'm still here to see my grandkids grow up. And so that's my biggest thing. And then, at the worry of, like, what's going to happen to my poor sweet husband. So I still deal with that, but I'm no longer afraid about dying. It's like, if that happens, it happens, and I feel at peace with that. But I'm going to give it one hell of a shot. I'm just not going anywhere right now. So, at least I know I'm not going to die this year. It's going to be in the future. And that's as far as we're going with it. So that's my story. And if you are suffering with cancer, or you know someone that is, I'm here with you.